Hello and welcome back to Sleepy Wiki. Tonight, my dear listener, we turn our gentle gaze towards something so utterly fundamental yet so often overlooked in our hurried days. Imagine, if you will, the quiet vastness of time itself, how it sculpts and reshapes our world atom by atom. We'll explore the silent ancient stories held within countless tiny grains, the unyielding architects of landscapes, both immense and intimately familiar. From the heart of the desert's shifting golden dunes that stretch to the horizon, to the tranquil shores where the ocean's rhythmic breath meets the land in a ceaseless embrace, we'll embark on a soothing journey into the very essence of sand. Let us drift together, carried not by wind but by the gentle whispers of time, as we uncover the humble yet profound secrets held within these minute yet magnificent wonders. Before we delve deeper into this granular world, if you find a quiet solace in these peaceful moments and wish for more such journeys, a soft tap on the like button or a gentle subscribe would mean the world. It helps these sleepy explorations reach others seeking peace and calm in their own quiet corners. Now, with your mind gently prepared, let us close our eyes or simply soften your gaze and begin our exploration of sand. Now, as we drift a little deeper into the secrets of sand, let's consider a single tiny grain. Imagine it resting on your palm, perhaps sparkling faintly. It might seem insignificant, just a speck among countless others, but each one carries within it an epic tale, a biography written by the very forces that shaped our planet over eons. This isn't just a particle. It's a fragment of Earth's autobiography, a miniature testament to geological power and patience. Where do these countless grains begin their journey? Well, to understand sand, we must first look to its parents, the mighty rocks. Our story begins deep within the Earth's crust, or perhaps high upon ancient mountain ranges, where colossal masses of rock stand guard. These aren't just any rocks. They are often the grand, enduring types, born from fiery beginnings or forged under immense pressure. Think of the sturdy granite that forms the core of continents, a tapestry of interlocking crystals of quartz, feldspar, and mica. Or perhaps the metamorphic gneiss, twisted and swirled into beautiful patterns by unimaginable heat and pressure. Even sedimentary rocks, like sandstone themselves, can be broken down to contribute to the next generation of sand. These are the ancestral lands, the geological nurseries from which all sand ultimately springs. But how does a mountain become a handful of grains? This transformation is a masterpiece of slow, deliberate artistry, orchestrated by nature's patient sculptors. The first act in this grand play is what geologists call weathering. Imagine a colossal, unyielding rock face, standing solid and defiant against the elements. Weathering is the process by which this magnificent giant is slowly, meticulously broken down into smaller and smaller pieces. There are two main types of weathering, each working in its own unique way. First, we have this physical weathering, the brute force but incredibly subtle method. Picture the relentless sun heating the rock by day, causing its outer layers to expand ever so slightly, and the chill of night causing them to contract. Over thousands, even millions of cycles, these tiny expansions and contractions can create hairline fractures, much like an ancient ceramic vase developing tiny cracks over time. Then, imagine water seeping into these nascent cracks. As temperatures drop below freezing, this water transforms into ice, expanding with immense power, a silent, unstoppable wedge that pries the rock apart piece by painstaking piece. This is the freeze-thaw cycle, a tireless worker in colder climates. Wind, carrying other abrasive particles, can also act like a sandblaster, slowly but surely chipping away at exposed surfaces. Even the tenacious roots of a tree, seeking purchase and nutrients, can exert tremendous pressure, widening fissures and splitting boulders. These physical forces act like nature's tireless demolition crew, breaking the rock into ever smaller fragments from boulders to pebbles, and eventually to the sizes we recognize as sand. Then there is a chemical weathering, a more insidious and transformative process, working like a slow, dissolving potion. Rainwater, slightly acidic from absorbing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, can gradually dissolve certain minerals, much like sugar dissolving in your tea. For instance, minerals like calcite, often found in limestone, are particularly vulnerable to this gentle, persistent dissolution, slowly vanishing into the watery embrace. Other minerals, like the abundant feldspar, one of granite's primary components, undergo a process called hydrolysis. Water reacts with the feldspar, slowly altering its atomic structure, transforming it into soft, often sticky, clay minerals. You can almost imagine the feldspar grain sighing as it gradually softens, giving up its rigid crystalline form. Even the familiar rust we see on old metal is a form of chemical weathering called oxidation, where minerals containing iron react with oxygen, weakening their structure and often giving rocks a reddish hue. As weathering tirelessly chips and dissolves, the fragments, now liberated from their parent rock, embark on the next phase of their incredible journey: erosion and transport. This is where the grains truly come alive, setting off on a grand adventure across landscapes. The agents of transport are nature's powerful conveyor belts, rushing rivers, powerful ocean waves, relentless desert winds, and even ancient, slow-moving glaciers. A newly freed mineral grain, perhaps a rugged, angular shard of quartz, begins its descent into a mountain stream. It begins its descent, jostled and bounced along the stream bed, bumping into countless other grains. With every collision, it loses a tiny sliver of its sharp edges. It's like a rough, uncut gem being polished by an infinite number of tiny, watery hammers. As it travels further downstream, the journey smooths its contours, wearing away its sharp corners, making it progressively rounder and more spherical. The longer the journey, the more rounded and polished the grain becomes, a testament to the miles it has traversed and the countless interactions it has endured. During this long voyage, a natural sorting process occurs. Heavier, larger grains tend to settle out first as the water loses energy, while smaller, lighter grains are carried further. Weaker minerals like feldspar and mica are more likely to break down chemically or physically along the way. Feldspar, as it transforms into clay, might wash away entirely, leaving behind its more resilient companions. Mica, with its delicate, flaky structure, often gets broken into tiny, almost invisible flakes, or carried off by gentler currents. This selective destruction and sorting means that by the time many sand grains reach their final resting place, often a sun-drenched beach or a vast desert dune, they are predominantly composed of the most durable and resistant mineral, quartz. Quartz is nature's survivor. It's incredibly hard, chemically stable, and remarkably resistant to both physical and chemical weathering. It's the seasoned traveler, the wise elder of the sand community, having withstood the rigors of immense journeys. That's why so many of our beautiful sands, especially those found on oceanic beaches, sparkle with the crystalline clarity of quartz. Each translucent grain holds a tiny memory of its parent rock, but its polished surface tells the tale of its long, arduous voyage. But not all sands are pure quartz. In some regions, especially those closer to the source rocks or where specific geological conditions prevail, you'll find other minerals telling their own unique stories. Volcanic islands, for instance, might have dark, dramatic sands rich in basaltic minerals formed from cooling lava, giving them a rich, often black hue. Or perhaps sands rich in shell fragments and coral, testament to the biological life of the ocean rather than solely rock erosion. Each grain, whether clear quartz, murky feldspar, or a fragment of ancient shell, carries a miniature geological passport, detailing its origin and journey. And all of this slow erosion, the patient rounding, the endless waltz of transport and deposition, unfolds not over years, but over geological timescales, hundreds of thousands, even millions of years. The sand beneath your feet might contain grains older than human civilization itself, fragments that witness the rise and fall of ancient mountain ranges, the ebb and flow of vast inland seas. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? That a simple handful of sand represents such an incredible span of Earth's history, a patient, continuous cycle of creation and recreation. As these countless grains finally settle, forming the vast beaches, riverbanks, and deserts we know, their long, eventful journey pauses. But their story is far from over. Each grain now lies ready, perhaps to be picked up by the wind, embraced by a wave, or even over deeper time, to be cemented with its neighbors into a brand new sedimentary rock. But that, my dear listeners, is a story for another time, as our tiny sand grains await their next adventure, perhaps to become part of the great cycle of rock formation once more. Let us shift our focus deeper, beyond the touch of the surface, and into the hidden architecture of a single grain. Imagine, if you will, that we possess the most marvelous of shrinking powers. We are going to shrink ourselves down, 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 until a single grain of sand is no longer a speck, but an entire world unfolding before our eyes. If we observe that tiny, solitary grain more closely, its hidden details begin to unfold. What do you see? It's not just a dull, uniform particle. Oh no. When you gaze upon it with the right lens, with the right sense of wonder, you'll discover a universe of intricate detail, a miniature marvel of engineering and history. At the very heart of most sand, especially the kind you might find on many of the world's temperate beaches, lies a true monarch, a king among minerals, quartz. This remarkable substance, a compound known scientifically as silicon dioxide, is a cornerstone of our planet's crust. Imagine, if you will, tiny building blocks, invisible to our naked eye, yet profoundly powerful. Each quartz grain is essentially a miniature crystal, a fortress built from countless silicon atoms, each holding hands with 4 oxygen atoms, forming what we call a tetrahedron, a tiny, perfect pyramid shape. These tetrahedra then link together endlessly in a precise, interlocking 3-dimensional pattern, creating a structure that is both elegant and incredibly strong. It's like an invisible, infinitely repeating blueprint, guiding the growth of each crystalline grain. This precise, ordered arrangement of atoms is the secret to quartz's enduring nature. These bonds are like the tightest, most unbreakable handshakes in the mineral kingdom, making quartz exceptionally hard and resistant to the forces that try to break it down. It's why, after countless millennia of tumbling in rivers, crashing in ocean waves, and being scoured by wind, quartz grains often emerge victorious, still largely intact, ready to tell their silent, ancient tales. They are the survivors, the stoic elders of the sandy realm. But a beach is rarely a kingdom inhabited by quartz alone. Think of it more as a bustling metropolis, where the king lives in harmony with a diverse and fascinating population. Alongside the stoic quartz, you'll often find other minerals, each contributing its unique color and texture to the sandy tapestry. There's feldspar, for instance, often appearing in shades of milky white, pale pink, or even a soft cream. Like a gentler, slightly less robust cousin to quartz, feldspar also forms strong crystalline structures, but its bonds are a little more susceptible to chemical weathering over vast stretches of time. It tells a story of a slightly different journey, perhaps not quite as long and arduous as the most ancient quartz grains. Then there's mica, shimmering like tiny flattened sequins. This mineral forms in delicate wafer-thin sheets, splitting easily along its atomic planes. If you've ever seen sand sparkle, as if sprinkled with fairy dust, chances are you're admiring the tiny reflective flakes of mica catching the sunlight. It's the glamour of the beach, the natural glitter that adds a touch of magic. But the diversity doesn't stop there. Depending on where in the world you are and the specific geological story of that place, you might encounter an even more exotic cast of characters. Tiny, dark grains of magnetite, heavy with iron, might give sand a subtle, somber hue, or perhaps brilliant, crimson flecks of garnet, like miniature rubies, whispering of ancient volcanic pasts. There could be the delicate, often pale green of olivine, hinting at very specific, often volcanic origins. And sometimes you might even spot the almost iridescent gleam of zircon or rutile, or the inky blackness of tourmaline. Each a tiny, precious gem, a testament to the incredible variety locked within the Earth's crust. These tiny grains aren't just defined by their mineral makeup, their very form tells a story. Consider their size. Sand grains are officially defined as particles ranging from incredibly fine, almost like powder, to coarser bits, nearly the size of a tiny seed. We're talking about diameters anywhere from about a 1/16 of a millimeter, barely visible to the eye, up to 2 whole millimeters, a truly substantial pebble in this microscopic world. This range ensures that when you run your fingers through sand, you feel a delightful variety of textures, from silky to slightly gritty. And then there's their shape. This is where the tale of their journey truly comes alive. Some grains are wonderfully angular, with sharp, jagged edges like freshly broken shards of glass. These are often the newcomers, perhaps recently eroded from a nearby rock face. Their edges still keen and unworn. Others are subangular or sub-rounded, their sharp edges having been somewhat softened by a little tumbling. But then there are the wise old travelers, the rounded grains. These are the smooth, almost spherical individuals, their surfaces polished and buffed by countless miles of rolling and grinding against their companions, carried by wind and water across vast landscapes. Each grain, whether sharp or smooth, holds the imprint of its past, a silent record of its adventures. Even the surface texture of a single grain can be a marvel. Under high magnification, you might see tiny pits from chemical etching or delicate scratches and fractures from collisions with other grains like tiny battle scars. Some grains might even appear frosted, their surfaces dulled by the abrasive power of wind-blown sand, like miniature versions of sea glass. These aren't imperfections, they are unique fingerprints, evidence of the forces that have shaped them over eons. And what about color? Oh, the colors of sand. They are not just random hues, they are direct whispers of the underlying composition. Pure quartz, if completely free of impurities, is clear and translucent, leading to the dazzling white sands of some tropical beaches. But add those traces of feldspar, and you get soft pinks. Introduce volcanic minerals like basalt, and the sand becomes dark gray or even jet black. Sands rich in olivine glow with a soft green, and those gorgeous red or orange sands you might see in desert landscapes. Those often owe their fiery beauty to microscopic coatings of iron oxides, essentially tiny flecks of rust clinging to the grain's surface, painting it with the Earth's natural pigments. So you see, that handful of sand you held, that vast expanse of beach beneath the stars, is not just a uniform mass. It is a vibrant, ancient mosaic, an assembly of countless tiny worlds, each with its own specific mineral makeup, its own unique crystalline structure, and its own remarkable journey etched into its very form. Each grain is a testament to the Earth's immense geological power and the patient, tireless work of nature. These tiny, individual universes, these diverse compositions, are all profoundly affected by the grand forces of our planet. What magnificent powers are at play, shaping these grains, carrying them across continents and oceans? Let us gently drift now and explore the captivating processes of erosion, transport, and deposition which orchestrate the very making of sand. Close your eyes and imagine the journey these resilient little travelers embark upon. And so, as we gently drift deeper into the world of sand, we find ourselves standing on the edge of a vast, silent ocean, not of water, but of countless tiny grains. Here, the true architect, the invisible sculptor of these golden realms, is the wind. It's a master artist, constantly at work, perpetually rearranging and transforming the landscape with a power that is both immense and incredibly delicate. The wind moves like a breath, at times a whisper, at times a rising sigh. When this breath stirs across a surface of loose sand, something remarkable begins to happen. Most grains, at first, are too heavy to be simply lifted away. They cling to their resting places, nestled amongst their neighbors. But as the wind's energy increases, as its invisible fingers gain strength, it reaches a critical point, a specific speed known as the fluid threshold velocity. At this very moment, the lightest and most exposed grains are finally dislodged from their slumber. They don't just fly. They begin a beautiful, rhythmic dance. This dance is called saltation, a term that brings to mind a graceful leap. It's the primary way sand moves across the vast stretches of deserts. A grain of sand, lifted by the wind, doesn't soar high into the sky like a bird. Instead, it makes a short, curving hop, following a parabolic trajectory. It rises a few inches, perhaps a foot or two, before descending back to the surface, where it strikes the ground with a gentle yet significant impact. Think of it like a tiny, perfectly aimed pebble skipping across a calm pond. But here's where the magic truly unfolds. That single impact, seemingly insignificant, is incredibly powerful in its consequences. When a saltating grain lands, it doesn't just come to rest. It collides with other stationary grains, transferring its kinetic energy. This impact is often enough to dislodge 3, 4, or even more new grains, sending them leaping into the air, beginning their own parabolic journeys. This cascade of impacts creates a ripple effect, a magnificent chain reaction that keeps the sand moving. This is the impact threshold velocity, often lower than the initial fluid threshold, because once the movement starts, it's easier to keep it going. Alongside this graceful leaping, other forms of transport are at play. Some of the heavier grains, too weighty for saltation, are nudged forward by the impacts of the landing saltating grains. They roll, slide, and shuffle along the surface in what we call creep. It's the slow, steady procession of the elders pushed along by the exuberant jumps of the younger, more agile grains. And then for the very finest dust-like particles, if the wind is strong enough, they might be carried far away, suspended high in the air, sometimes traveling across continents before finally settling back to Earth. But for the building blocks of dunes, it is primarily the saltation and creep that perform the heavy lifting, or rather, the heavy dancing. This constant movement, this perpetual dance, is not without purpose. The wind, while a sculptor, is also a storyteller, and the stories it tells are etched into the very landscape. As the wind carries its sandy cargo, it doesn't always maintain the same speed or direction. When the wind encounters an obstacle, even a small pebble or a clump of vegetation, or when its energy simply begins to wane, it loses its ability to hold on to its sandy passengers. And so the grains begin to fall, depositing themselves at these calmer spots. One grain settles, then another, and another. Slowly, incrementally, a tiny mound begins to form. This innocent mound, once established, then acts as its own obstacle, further slowing the wind and encouraging more deposition. It's a positive feedback loop, a gentle snowballing effect where the sand itself aids in its own accumulation. This is the birth of a dune. As the dune grows, it develops a distinctive anatomy, shaped by the relentless wind. On the side facing the wind, we find the Stoss slope, a gentle, convex curve, often appearing smooth and rounded like a shoulder. This is the windward side, where grains are pushed up towards the crest. As they reach the summit, the wind often accelerates briefly, sweeping them over the peak. But immediately beyond the crest, on the sheltered side, the wind suddenly loses much of its energy. Here, the grains can no longer be supported, and they cascade down the slip face. This slip face is a much steeper slope, typically angled at about 30 to 34 degrees. This angle is known as the angle of repose for sand, the steepest angle at which loose, dry, granular material can pile without slumping. When enough sand accumulates at the crest, it eventually becomes unstable, and a small avalanche occurs, spilling sand down the slip face in a beautiful, silent surge. This perpetual movement from the Stoss slope over the crest and down the slip face causes the entire dune to slowly, majestically migrate across the landscape, like a living, breathing entity on a timeless journey. The shapes these dunes take are as varied and captivating as snowflakes, each a unique fingerprint of the wind's prevailing direction and the available supply of sand. In areas with a consistent, unidirectional wind and a limited sand supply, you might encounter Barchan dunes. These are beautiful crescent-shaped forms, with their graceful horns pointing downwind, like delicate moon crescents slowly gliding across the desert floor. They move with an almost hypnotic rhythm, each a solitary traveler. Where sand is more abundant, and the wind still predominantly blows from one direction, we often find transverse dunes. These are long, continuous ridges of sand, perpendicular to the wind's direction, stretching for miles like immense waves frozen in time. They often form in vast fields, creating undulating patterns that seem to go on forever. Then there are the majestic, linear dunes, sometimes called Seif dunes, which are long, straight, or slightly sinuous ridges that run parallel to the prevailing wind, sometimes for tens or even hundreds of kilometers. These giants often form in areas where the wind direction shifts slightly, but predictably, back and forth, guiding the sand into these elongated forms. And what of the parabolic dunes? These are the inverse of Barchans, crescent-shaped but with their horns pointing upwind. They are often found in coastal regions or semi-arid areas, where vegetation plays a crucial role. The horns of these dunes are often anchored by plants, while the center of the dune, less inhibited, continues to migrate downwind, creating that distinctive U shape, a testament to life's subtle power in shaping the seemingly barren landscape. Perhaps the most magnificent of all are the star dunes. These colossal formations, resembling giant pyramids or multi-pointed stars, arise in regions where the wind blows from multiple shifting directions. Each point of the star represents a slip face, molded by a different wind regime, creating a complex, intricate structure that stands as a true monument to the wind's artistry. These vast stretches of wind-sculpted sand are known as ergs, immense dune fields that can cover hundreds of thousands of square kilometers, creating some of the most iconic landscapes on Earth. From the gentle ripple on a beach to the towering peaks of a star dune, each grain of sand, stirred by the invisible hand of the wind, plays its part in this ancient, ongoing story. It's a world of constant motion, of slow, majestic transformation, a testament to the enduring power of nature's quiet forces. And as these ancient architects continue their timeless work, shaping the very surface of our planet, it makes us wonder about the deeper origins of sand itself, about how these tiny grains came to be in the first place, and where their incredible journey truly began. Let's drift now, gently, to explore that fascinating beginning. From here, the story of sand leads us into a realm where movement becomes everything. Imagine each tiny grain of sand as a sleepy traveler nestled somewhere in the heart of a vast landscape. For many of these travelers, their grand adventure truly begins with water. Water in its many forms, a playful river, a rhythmic ocean wave, a sweeping current, becomes their tireless guide, their gentle carrier, orchestrating an intricate dance of transport that reshapes our world, one grain at a time. Think of a river, a veritable ribbon of life tracing its path from mountain peaks or rolling hillsides down towards the waiting sea. These rivers are more than just waterways. They are the great arteries of the land, pulsing with a quiet power that gradually sculpts the earth. As a river tumbles over rocks or meanders through soft earth, it doesn't just flow, it erodes. It slowly, patiently, breaks down larger rocks into smaller fragments, some eventually becoming those familiar grains of sand we hold so dear. This initial breakdown and liberation, known as erosion, is the very first step in the hydrological transport of sand, a slow-motion ballet of breakdown and liberation. Once these grains are freed, the river becomes their highway. Some of the finest, lightest grains are carried along within the water itself, suspended like dust motes caught in a sunbeam. This is suspension, a graceful ride where the water's flow cradles them, holding them aloft. But for the slightly heavier, larger grains, the journey is a little more dynamic, a little more playful. These grains don't stay perpetually airborne. Instead, they skip and bounce along the riverbed in a series of short leaps and bounds, a process we call saltation. Imagine tiny pebbles tossed gently forward by the current, landing, then nudged up again like children playing hopscotch across the riverbed. And for the very heaviest grains, those robust, sturdy ones, their movement is a slower, more deliberate crawl. They are pushed and rolled along the very bottom, forming what we call the bed load. This is a constant, grinding movement, like a slow-motion conveyor belt carrying the heaviest cargo, gradually shaping the river's floor. Each method of transport, suspension, saltation, and bed load, is a testament to the river's persistent energy, its role as the Earth's most ancient delivery service, bringing the raw ingredients of our beaches from the land's interior to its watery edge. After a long passage downstream, the river finally delivers its grains to the murmuring embrace of the ocean. Here, a new chapter of their journey begins, one dominated by the restless energy of waves and currents. Picture the meeting point, where the fresh waters of the river gently mingle with the salty expanse of the sea. The river, having delivered its precious cargo, releases the sand into a new domain. But the journey isn't over. It has merely changed hands. as the ocean takes up the mantle of chief architect, using its immense power to endlessly reshape the coastline. The most visible agents of this coastal dance are the waves. Each wave, born from distant winds across the open sea, travels thousands of miles gathering energy until it finally breaks upon the shore. As a wave rushes up the beach, we call this the swash. It carries sand grains with it, pushing them higher up the sloping shore. Then, as the water loses momentum, gravity pulls it back down towards the sea, in what we call the backwash. This receding water also carries sand, often pulling it slightly offshore or along the beach. This constant push and pull, the rhythmic swash and backwash, is like a tireless hand sifting and sorting the sand on the beach face, creating the gentle slope and ripples we often see. It's a mesmerizing, continuous motion, an endless conversation between water and land, shaping the very edge of continents. The story of coastal sand transport extends beyond the simple push and pull of waves. There are also powerful, invisible rivers within the ocean itself, known as currents. Perhaps the most significant of these when it comes to coastal sands is longshore drift. When waves approach the shore at a slight angle, something remarkable happens. Each time the swash pushes sand up the beach, it carries it diagonally along the shore. The backwash then pulls the sand straight back down the slope. The next wave repeats this diagonal push. And so, with each successive wave, the sand grains are nudged a little further along the coastline in a zigzag pattern. It's like a slow, collective march of countless tiny grains, moving along the beach in a continuous, often unseen procession. This longshore drift is a profound sculptor of our coastlines, responsible for building vast stretches of beaches, shaping spits that extend into the water, and forming barrier islands that protect our mainland. Without it, our coastlines would look very different, far less dynamic and diverse. Occasionally, too, the ocean reveals another kind of powerful current, the rip current. These are channels of strong, narrow flow moving swiftly away from the shore. They form when waves break over a sandbar and then channel their return flow through a gap, creating a powerful seaward current. While primarily a safety concern, rip currents also play their part in the grand scheme of sand transport, efficiently carrying sand from the near-shore environment out into deeper waters, contributing to the complex ebb and flow of the coastal sediment budget. And then there are the tides, the ocean's gentle, rhythmic breath. The gravitational pull of the moon and sun creates these predictable rises and falls in sea level, twice a day in most places. While tides themselves don't directly transport vast quantities of sand, they play a crucial supporting role. By raising and lowering the water level, tides determine which parts of the beach are exposed to wave action and for how long. At high tide, waves can reach higher up the shore, moving sand into areas that are usually dry. At low tide, a wider expanse of beach is exposed, allowing the sun and wind to dry the sand, making it susceptible to wind erosion and dune formation, a process we'll explore more deeply in another gentle drift of our story. So the tides act like a grand conductor, setting the stage and influencing the arena where waves and currents perform their sand-moving symphony. But not all transport is a gentle, gradual process. Sometimes, the ocean unleashes its full power in the form of storms. A severe storm with its towering waves and powerful currents can accomplish in a single day what normal processes might take years to do. Storms can erode vast quantities of sand from beaches, carrying it offshore to form submerged bars or depositing it far inland. They can carve out new inlets, destroy dunes, and fundamentally reshape the coastline in hours. These dramatic events are a powerful reminder of the immense energy contained within the hydrological system and of the dynamic, ever-changing nature of our sandy shores. After a major storm, the beach might look utterly different, a testament to the raw, untamed power of nature's hydrological engineers. And all these forces, rivers, waves, currents, tides, and storms, work in concert to create and maintain our coastal sands. The sand found on our beaches is often a mixture of grains from many different sources: quartz grains carried by rivers from inland mountains, fragments of shells and coral from marine organisms, and sometimes even volcanic minerals, depending on the geology of the region. The constant tumbling and grinding by water helps to smooth and round these grains, polishing them into the comfortable particles we love to feel between our toes. The relentless sifting also tends to sort the grains by size, with finer sands often found in quieter areas and coarser sands in more energetic environments. The entire coastline can be thought of as a giant open system with a sediment budget. Just like a financial budget, there are inputs and outputs. Rivers bring in new sand, inputs. Erosion of cliffs can also add sand, but sand can also be lost, outputs, when it's carried offshore into deep water, blown inland to form dunes, or trapped by human structures like jetties and seawalls. When inputs exceed outputs, a beach grows, a process called accretion. When outputs exceed inputs, the beach erodes, shrinking over time. Understanding this delicate balance is crucial for managing our precious coastlines. These dynamic processes are what give rise to the stunning array of coastal features we cherish. Beaches themselves, of course, are the most familiar, but also barrier islands, those long, narrow strips of sand that run parallel to the mainland, protecting it from the full force of the ocean. Spits, like slender fingers of sand extending from the shore into a bay. Tombolos, where sand builds up to connect an island to the mainland. And of course, the magnificent sand dunes, those gentle hills of wind-blown sand, often clothed in tough, resilient grasses, standing as the beach's natural guardians, protecting the land beyond from the sea's relentless energy. Each of these features is a living, breathing testament to the tireless work of water and sand, a masterpiece of hydrological transport. As we lie here, listening to the gentle rhythm of our breathing, we can almost hear the soft whisper of countless sand grains being carried along by the ocean's currents, pushed and pulled by the waves, journeying from riverbeds to far-flung beaches. It's a vast, continuous movement, an unseen ballet beneath the surface and along the shore, creating the very landscapes we find so comforting and beautiful. And as we consider this endless journey of sand, from its origins in erosion to its placement by waves and currents, we begin to appreciate the life it supports, the stories it holds, and its interactions with the living world around it. But that, my dear listeners, is a story for another gentle moment as we prepare to drift into the fascinating dance between sand and life itself. Beyond its long travels through rivers and seas, sand reveals another dimension of fascination. how countless grains behave when they gather together. It's also about how these countless grains, when brought together, begin to dance, to shift, to resist, and to flow in ways that are utterly fascinating, challenging our everyday understanding of solids and liquids. This is the realm of granular physics, where sand truly reveals its enigmatic nature. When we observe a vast desert dune, or even a small pile of sand from a bucket, we see something intriguing. It holds its shape, doesn't it? It behaves like a solid. But then, if you tilt that bucket, or if the wind begins to whisper across the dune, the sand starts to flow, cascading down like a liquid. And yet, if you try to press your hand through a compacted patch of sand, it offers resistance, unlike a fluid. This seemingly contradictory behavior places sand and other granular materials in a unique category, sometimes playfully called the Poiseuille's fourth state of matter, distinct from solids, liquids, and gases. It's a state where the individual particles never truly touch, always separated by tiny voids, yet their collective dance creates a world of wonder. One of the first enchanting secrets sand reveals when it gathers together is its ability to form slopes. Think of a perfect miniature sandcastle hill, or a gentle slope leading down to the water's edge. This natural incline that a pile of loose, dry sand can maintain without collapsing is known as the angle of repose. It's like the sand has a comfortable, sleepy posture it likes to settle into. This angle isn't random. It's a testament to the friction between the individual grains. Each tiny grain, like a miniature adventurer, holds on to its neighbors with a gentle but firm grip. The rougher the grain, the more irregular its shape, the stronger the friction, and the steeper the angle of repose can be. Smoother, rounder grains, like those found in some ancient rivers, will roll and tumble more easily, forming shallower slopes. So, a dune in the Sahara, shaped by millennia of wind, will have its own characteristic angle of repose, a silent testament to the nature of its grains and the forces that shaped it. The way these grains nestle together also tells a story. When you pour sand, you might notice that it settles, leaving tiny pockets of air between the grains. This is called porosity. Think of it like a crowd of people in a room. Sometimes they're loosely spread out with lots of space to move, and sometimes they're packed tightly together. Sand can be either loose, or dense. This compaction has profound effects. If the grains are packed densely, they form a much stronger, more stable structure. They're all leaning on each other, sharing the load like a tightly knit community. This density gives sand its remarkable sheer strength. Its ability to resist being pushed or pulled apart by parallel forces. This is why you can stand on a beach, or why the foundations of enormous buildings can be laid upon sand. The collective strength of those interlocked grains is immense. They resist being sheared, holding their ground against the weight above. Water adds another layer of complexity to this behavior. We all know the delight of building sandcastles. What makes wet sand so wonderfully cooperative? It's a phenomenon called cohesion, and it's largely due to tiny films of water that bridge the gaps between the sand grains. these microscopic water bridges, held together by capillary forces, the same forces that make water climb up a thin tube, act like invisible glue. They pull the grains together, giving the sand a temporary but surprisingly strong stickiness. Each grain suddenly has 1,000 tiny, watery hands reaching out, holding on to its neighbors, allowing you to sculpt towers and walls that would be impossible with dry sand. But there's a delicate balance. Too little water and the bridges can't form. Too much, and the water starts to push the grains apart, reducing their friction and turning our sturdy sandcastle into a sludgy mess. Have you ever walked on wet sand near the water's edge and noticed that the sand immediately around your foot seems to dry out, becoming lighter in color? This fascinating trick is known as dilatancy, or the Reynolds phenomenon. When you apply pressure to wet, loosely packed sand, the grains are forced to rearrange themselves. To do this, they actually have to move slightly apart from each other, creating a slightly larger volume. This temporary expansion draws water down into the newly created spaces away from the surface, making the top layer appear drier. It's as if the sand is taking a deep breath, momentarily expanding its chest before settling back down once the pressure is released and the water seeps back up. It's a subtle but powerful demonstration of how granular materials respond to stress. Beneath the seemingly uniform surface of a sand dune or a beach, there's an invisible architecture at play, a silent conversation happening between the grains. When force is applied to sand, it doesn't spread evenly through all the particles. Instead, the force is transmitted through specific, interconnected pathways, forming what scientists call force chains. Imagine a delicate network of whispers, where the message, the force, is passed along certain grains, while others remain relatively silent, bearing little to no load. These force chains are like tiny, shifting bridges of stress, constantly forming and dissolving as the sand moves or is stressed. They are not fixed but dynamic, evolving with every slight disturbance, shaping the internal stability and instability of the sand. Understanding these hidden chains helps engineers design stronger foundations and scientists predict landslide behavior. Perhaps one of the most intriguing transitions in granular physics is the concept of having. Think of an hourglass, where countless grains of sand flow smoothly through a narrow opening. They behave like a liquid, pouring effortlessly. But if that opening is too small, or if the flow is disturbed just so, the grains can suddenly get stuck, forming an arch or a plug that completely stops the flow. This is the jamming transition, a sudden shift from a fluid-like flowing state to a solid-like jammed state. It's like a bustling street suddenly freezing, all the tiny vehicles, the sand grains, locking into place. This jamming can be influenced by pressure, vibration, and even the shape of the container. It's a fundamental concept that explains everything from why coffee beans sometimes get stuck in a dispenser to how certain types of protective gear can stiffen upon impact. And sometimes sand can become almost too fluid. Picture the phenomenon of quicksand. This isn't just a Hollywood myth. It's a real and powerful example of fluidization. Quicksand occurs when sand becomes saturated with water and then experiences an upward flow of that water, or a disturbance like an earthquake or heavy pressure. This upward flow of water pushes the sand grains apart, reducing the friction and contact between them. Suddenly, those tightly holding hands of friction are released, and the sand loses its sheer strength, behaving almost exactly like a liquid. It can no longer support weight, and anything heavy placed upon it will sink. The same principle is used in industry, where air is blown upwards through a bed of granular material to make it behave like a fluid, allowing it to be easily transported or mixed. It's a striking reminder that sand's solid-like stability is entirely dependent on the intimate dance of its individual grains. So, as we drift through these fascinating concepts, we see that sand is never just a simple collection of rocks. It's a dynamic, responsive material, full of hidden strengths and surprising behaviors, from holding hands with water to resisting the pull of gravity with remarkable angles. Each grain contributes to a collective personality that is far more complex than it appears. These are just some of the deep, quiet secrets whispered by the granular heart of sand. As we gently shift our focus, we can begin to appreciate not just what sand is on its own, but how it interacts with the world around it, shaping landscapes and supporting life. But that, my curious friend, is a tale for another quiet moment. At this point in our exploration, sand reveals yet another role, one woven deeply into the structure of our modern world. We've seen it shape landscapes, cradle tiny ecosystems, and whisper tales of ancient rivers. But now, let's tiptoe into another dimension of its existence, one where this unassuming grain becomes the very bedrock of our modern world, the silent architect of our bustling cities, and a surprisingly powerful force in the grand tapestry of our global economy. Imagine, if you will, that each tiny grain of sand holds a secret potential, a blueprint for the colossal structures and intricate technologies that define our lives. It's a bit like imagining a single star holding the potential for an entire galaxy, vast, profound, and utterly essential. The industrial uses of sand are so pervasive, so deeply woven into the fabric of our civilization that we often take them for granted, much like the air we breathe or the quiet hum of the earth beneath our feet. Let's begin with perhaps its most formidable role, the very skeleton and muscle of our built environment. When you think of soaring skyscrapers, sprawling highways, sturdy bridges, or even the cozy walls of your own home, you are, in essence, thinking of sand. Mixed with cement and water, it transforms into concrete, a material so fundamental that it forms the literal foundation of modern life. Here, sand, often referred to as aggregate, plays a crucial part. Its rough, varied surfaces provide the essential grip, the binding points for the cement paste to adhere, creating a robust, unyielding structure. Without sand, concrete would lack its strength, its volume, and its reliability. It would be like trying to build a magnificent sandcastle without any sand. Simply impossible. This humble aggregate underpins our hospitals, our schools, our places of work, and our homes, making sand arguably the most consumed solid material on Earth, second only to water itself. The journey of sand, however, doesn't end with strength and stability. It also embarks on a luminous path, transforming into something clear, elegant, and often magical: glass. For this miracle, we turn to a specific kind of sand, high-purity silica sand, rich in quartz. Picture it being heated to incredibly high temperatures, softening and melting until it flows like slow liquid light. As it cools, it doesn't return to its grainy form but solidifies into the smooth, transparent sheets we know as windows, allowing sunlight to stream into our homes and offices, connecting us visually to the world outside while keeping us safe within. This very same silica sand forms the bottles that hold our refreshing drinks, the intricate glassware on our tables, and even the robust windshields of our cars. But the story of glass takes an even more astonishing turn. The Internet, an immense, invisible network spanning continents, relies heavily on silica transformed into ultra-pure glass fibers. Much of it travels not through wires, but through incredibly thin strands of glass, fiber optic cables. These fibers, finer than a human hair, are crafted from ultra-pure silica sand, allowing pulses of light to carry torrents of information at incredible speeds. It's like sending whispers of light through miles of transparent threads, creating the nervous system of our digital age. Without this specialized sand, our ability to connect, communicate, and share knowledge globally would be profoundly diminished. And speaking of the digital age, sand, in its purest form, becomes the very essence of our electronic world. Ultra-high purity silica sand is meticulously refined into silicon, the semiconductor material that forms the heart of every computer chip, every smartphone, and every piece of advanced electronics you interact with daily. Imagine tiny, invisible blueprints etched onto thin wafers of silicon, each holding billions of transistors, miniature switches that process information with astonishing speed. It's here, in these silent, microscopic cities of silicon, that the digital magic happens, powering everything from artificial intelligence to medical devices. This transformation from a humble grain to a sophisticated circuit board is arguably one of sand's most impactful and scientifically intricate journeys, forming the very digital bloodstream of our modern lives. Beyond these titans of industry, sand quietly serves in countless other ways. In foundries, it's shaped into intricate molds for casting metals, cradling molten steel or aluminum as it cools into machine parts or sculptures. It serves as a gentle yet firm abrasive, sand-blasting surfaces, clean or polishing them to a high shine. In the energy sector, particularly in hydraulic fracking, specialized sand known as proppant is pumped deep underground to hold open tiny fractures in rock formations, allowing oil and natural gas to flow out. These tiny grains, engineered for crush resistance and uniformity, are like unseen sentinels, propping open pathways to vital energy resources. Furthermore, sand is a natural filter. Beneath our feet and in sophisticated water treatment plants, layers of sand remove impurities from water, making it safe to drink. It helps build golf courses and sporting fields, and even restores eroded coastlines, literally rebuilding beaches one grain at a time. Its presence is so diverse, so fundamental. It's like a quiet, diligent helper in nearly every corner of our industrial landscape. Now, let's consider the economic ripples of this quiet worker. The sheer scale of sand extraction and trade is staggering. As we mentioned, it's the most mined material globally. This enormous demand fuels a multi-billion-dollar industry, supporting countless jobs from mining and transportation to manufacturing and construction. It's a cornerstone for national economies, driving innovation and infrastructure development. The availability and cost of sand directly impact the price of housing, the construction of new businesses, and the speed of technological advancement. However, this pervasive utility comes with a significant and growing challenge. The immense global appetite for sand is leading to a quiet crisis: resource depletion. While sand seems abundant, the right kind of sand, particularly river and marine sand suitable for construction, is a finite resource. Rivers are being dredged faster than nature can replenish them, leading to deepened riverbeds, altered water flows, and increased erosion. Coastal areas are stripped bare, destroying natural barriers against storms and impacting marine ecosystems. This isn't just an environmental concern. It has profound economic implications. As suitable sand becomes scarcer, its price rises, impacting construction costs and slowing development. It can lead to illegal mining operations, often controlled by criminal networks, which further devastate local environments and economies, creating social unrest and conflict. The global economy, in its relentless pursuit of progress, has placed an enormous burden on this humble material. Sand, once seen as an infinite resource, is now recognized as a strategic commodity whose management and sustainable extraction are critical for future prosperity. Its value chain extends from the immediate impact of extraction on local communities to the global implications for trade, technology, and environmental stability. The quiet hum of industrial progress relies on this granular foundation, and understanding its true cost and impact is becoming increasingly vital. So, as the world outside sleeps, we've journeyed through the incredible industrial life of sand, from the concrete beneath our feet to the digital whispers that cross oceans. We've seen its immense value and the silent pressures it now faces. But this journey, like all good stories, has more to reveal, particularly about the delicate balance between human needs and the rhythms of the natural world. And that, my dear listener, is a thought we can gently carry with us as we drift into the quiet moments that lie ahead. Yet the same material that sustains our modern world also faces pressures that ripple far beyond industry. We've journeyed through the miraculous ways sand shapes our lives and structures our modern world. But as with all things in nature's delicate balance, when we take, there are always ripples. And so, we arrive at a more somber, yet equally important chapter in our sand story: the environmental impact of its extraction. Imagine, if you will, the gentle flow of a river, a winding silver ribbon through the landscape, humming with life. Beneath its shimmering surface, its bed isn't just inert sediment. It's a bustling neighborhood, a living floor. Thousands upon thousands of tiny creatures, insect larvae, worms, microscopic organisms, find refuge and sustenance within the sandy grains and pebbles. Fish lay their eggs there, seeking the perfect texture for their progeny's safety. When we extract sand directly from these riverbeds, we don't just remove material, we dismantle these intricate homes. It's akin to suddenly lifting the roof and walls off an entire village, leaving its inhabitants exposed and bewildered. The heavy machinery, the dredging itself, directly crushes, buries, and displaces countless organisms, often wiping out entire local populations of invertebrates and disrupting the delicate food web that supports larger fish and birds. But the impact isn't confined to the immediate excavation site. Think of the river's bed as its very foundation. When sand is removed, the riverbed can lower, sometimes significantly. This phenomenon, known as riverbed degradation or incision, has profound consequences. Imagine a river, accustomed to a certain depth and flow, suddenly finding its own bed sinking deeper. The water, now less inhibited by its previous floor, flows faster and with more erosive power. This increased velocity can begin to scour the riverbanks, causing them to collapse, altering the river's course, and washing away valuable riverside vegetation. This process not only destroys more habitat, but can also undermine critical infrastructure. Bridges that once stood majestically above the water can find their foundations exposed and weakened as the riverbed drops below their original design depth. Pipelines, ferries, and other structures are also put at risk. Moreover, the river's health is deeply intertwined with the invisible world beneath the land. Beneath the river's surface, out of sight, lies a delicate balance with the groundwater table. When the riverbed lowers, it effectively lowers the local groundwater table in the surrounding land. Picture the roots of ancient, thirsty riverside trees, accustomed to a certain depth for their water supply, suddenly having to reach further and further for moisture that has receded. Agricultural lands near the river, relying on shallow wells, may find them dry. This subtle shift can turn lush riverine forests into struggling, parched landscapes, impacting entire ecosystems far beyond the riverbanks. Now let's drift from the rivers to the shores, to the vast, shimmering expanse of our coastlines. Beaches are more than just idyllic stretches of sand for our enjoyment. They are nature's soft embrace against the mighty ocean, a natural buffer, a yielding shield. These dynamic systems are constantly shaped by waves, currents, and tides, with sand acting as the protective skin of the land. When we extract sand from beaches, dunes, or nearshore areas, we weaken this protective layer, thinning its skin. This leaves the coastline profoundly vulnerable to the relentless power of the sea. Storms and high tides, once gently cushioned by the expansive sandy slopes, now surge with greater force, leading to accelerated coastal erosion. Communities find their homes and businesses encroached upon by the advancing sea. Vital infrastructure like roads and utilities are threatened, and coastal ecosystems like nesting sites for turtles and birds are obliterated. Adding another layer of complexity to coastal extraction is the issue of saltwater intrusion. Picture the fresh water beneath our coastal lands, like a hidden sweet wellspring, often separated from the salty ocean by a natural barrier of sand and sediment. When extensive sand mining occurs in coastal areas or at river mouths, it can disturb this natural hydrological barrier. It creates pathways or even larger breaches, allowing the denser, salty seawater to seep inland and contaminate freshwater aquifers. This salinization can render precious groundwater unfit for drinking or irrigation, devastating local agriculture and threatening the very survival of communities that rely on these vital freshwater sources. And what of the water itself? The very act of dredging and extracting sand, whether from rivers or marine environments, churns up vast quantities of sediment. This process dramatically increases turbidity, the muddiness of the water. Imagine trying to see or even breathe in a perpetual, thick fog. For aquatic life, increased turbidity is a serious threat. It clogs the gills of fish and invertebrates, making it difficult for them to respire. It blocks sunlight from penetrating the water column, stunting the growth of aquatic plants and algae, which form the base of many food webs. This chain reaction starves herbivores, and subsequently the carnivores that feed upon them. Furthermore, sediments often trap pollutants, heavy metals, pesticides, industrial chemicals that have settled over decades. When these sediments are disturbed, these dormant pollutants are awakened and released back into the water, poisoning the environment and accumulating in the food chain. The cumulative effect of these various impacts is a devastating loss of biodiversity. From the tiny microorganisms that cleanse the water to the majestic fish and birds that define the ecosystem, each component is intrinsically linked. Disrupt one and the whole intricate tapestry begins to unravel. The delicate ballet of predator and prey, the life cycles tied to specific habitats, the seasonal migrations, all are thrown into disarray. The story of sand extraction, therefore, is not just a tale of geology or engineering, it is an ecological narrative, a poignant reminder that even our most fundamental needs, when unmet by thoughtful practices, can cast long, enduring shadows across the natural world. As the night deepens and these gentle truths settle like dew, perhaps it's time to consider not just the paths we've taken, but the new pathways we might forge. To explore if there are other ways we can build our world, other materials that might share the load, and other wisdom to uncover in our stewardship of this planet. Let's turn our thoughts now to these possibilities, to the quiet ingenuity that seeks to find harmony with our environment, and to the alternatives that promise a gentler future. Let us drift now, like a whisper carried on a soft breeze, to consider sand not just as a collection of tiny grains, but as a silent, steadfast companion to humanity throughout our long, winding journey. Imagine, if you will, the very first humans, their bare feet pressing into the earth, feeling the cool, yielding give of sand beneath their soles. From those earliest moments, a profound relationship began to form, a silent dialogue between our species and these countless, unassuming particles. Across civilizations, sand quietly supported some of humanity's earliest architectural achievements. Think of the mighty pyramids of ancient Egypt, towering testaments to human ingenuity and belief. While granite and limestone form their majestic faces, it was sand mixed with a binder to create mortar that filled the unseen spaces, bonding stone to stone with an enduring embrace. And the mud bricks, so common in ancient Mesopotamia, often contained a generous proportion of sand, lending them strength and stability as they rose into ziggurats and city walls, sheltering nascent societies. It was an ingenious adaptation, using the abundant materials at hand to create shelter and structure, shaping the very landscape of human settlement. This dance with sand continued. The Romans, those master builders and engineers, harnessed sand in a revolutionary way. They mixed it with volcanic ash and lime, forging a substance so robust it could defy the relentless gnawing of time and even the corrosive power of salt water. This early concrete, a marvel of ancient chemistry, contained fine sand as a crucial aggregate, giving rise to aqueducts that stretched for miles, majestic domed temples, and enduring harbors that anchored their vast empire. It allowed them to build with unprecedented scale and longevity, an adaptation that literally laid the foundations for much of Western civilization. Without sand, these monumental achievements, these echoes of human ambition, would have been mere fleeting dreams. But sand's generosity wasn't limited to building. Consider the very sustenance of life. While vast deserts might seem inhospitable, humanity has learned to coax life from sandy soils. The humble date palm, for instance, thrives in sandy, well-drained earth, its roots reaching deep for precious water. Ancient irrigation techniques, like the ingenious qanats of Persia, underground channels tapping into distant water sources, allowed communities to transform seemingly barren, sandy plains into fertile oases, nurturing crops and communities where none seemed possible. Here, adaptation wasn't just about building with sand, but about learning to live within its challenging yet ultimately yielding embrace, understanding its properties to sustain life. And then there's the magic of transformation. Imagine the very first time fire met sand, perhaps accidentally, in the intense heat of a primitive kiln or a desert campfire. Something wondrous happened. The sand, primarily composed of silica, melted and cooled into a strange, beautiful substance: glass. From its earliest origins in Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt, glass became a symbol of human advancement. First for beads and ornaments, then for vessels to hold precious liquids, and later for windows, allowing light to pour into homes while keeping the elements out. This was an adaptation that literally brought light and clarity into human lives, transforming mundane sand into objects of beauty and immense utility. What a profound leap to see through a solid, to capture light in a frozen, transparent form, all from grains of sand. Sand also played a crucial, if less glamorous, role in the daily lives of our ancestors. Its abrasive qualities, for instance, were invaluable. Imagine grinding grain into flour, or polishing stone tools and weapons to a keen edge. Fine sand, when rubbed against a harder surface, acts as a natural abrasive, sharpening, smoothing, and refining. It was a tool within the tools, a silent enabler of craftsmanship and survival. Pottery, too, often incorporated sand into its clay mixture. This wasn't just happenstance. The sand helped the clay retain its shape, prevented excessive shrinkage during drying and firing, and increased the final strength of the vessels. From cooking pots to storage jars, sand lent its quiet strength to the very containers that held the fabric of ancient life. Beyond utilitarian purposes, sand has touched the human spirit in more ethereal ways. Think of the breathtaking sand mandalas created by Tibetan monks, intricate patterns painstakingly crafted grain by grain, only to be swept away in a symbolic gesture of impermanence. Or the vibrant sand paintings of the Navajo people used in healing rituals, telling stories of creation and connection to the earth. Here, sand becomes a medium for art, for spirituality, for a profound expression of cultural identity, and a way to adapt to and interpret the world around us, using the most elemental of materials to convey deep meaning. And even today, in our modern world, sand continues to shape our cultural landscape and demand new adaptations. The silicon chips that power our computers and phones, connecting us across vast distances, are derived from high-purity silica sand. Our information age, our digital tapestry, is built on a foundation of sand. And what about the sheer joy and cultural significance of our sandy beaches? They are places of recreation, solace, and economic vitality, drawing millions to their shores each year. We adapt our lives to seek out these sandy havens, finding renewal and connection in their gentle embrace. We even use sand in sandbags and artificial dunes to adapt to and mitigate the challenges of coastal erosion, protecting our homes and communities from the sea's relentless advance. From the earliest mud huts to the most advanced microchips, from ancient ceremonial art to modern beach resorts, sand has been an indispensable element in humanity's story. It has challenged us to adapt, and in doing so has enabled our greatest achievements, our deepest artistic expressions, and our most enduring forms of shelter and sustenance. It reminds us that even the smallest things, when combined in vast numbers and understood with ingenuity, can form the very bedrock of our existence. And as we consider this profound relationship between humanity and the humble grain of sand, perhaps it's time to delve a little deeper into the forces that shape sand itself, to understand the intricate dances of erosion and deposition that create these boundless landscapes. Let us gently turn our thoughts to the very journey of a sand grain from its mountain origins to its ultimate resting place. Beneath the surface of sand lies a hidden world, vibrant, complex, and alive. We've journeyed across its vast landscapes, felt its warmth, and observed its intricate beauty. But what if I told you that beneath that seemingly inert surface, beneath the very grains we hold in our hands, lies a bustling, vibrant metropolis, a secret, hidden world teeming with life, a microcosm of the planet's grand tapestry of existence. Imagine for a moment a stretch of beach kissed by the gentle ebb and flow of the tide, or a desert dune sculpted by whispers of wind. To our eyes it might appear desolate, perhaps a little barren, save for a few hardy plants or a lone scurrying beetle. But this is where the magic of perception truly begins. If we could shrink ourselves, becoming infinitesimally small enough to slip between the individual grains of sand, we would find ourselves in a magnificent three-dimensional labyrinth, a complex network of tunnels and chambers, constantly shifting and evolving. These tiny spaces, known to science as interstitial spaces or pore spaces, are the very heart of sand's identity as a habitat. They are the apartments, the corridors, the oxygenated highways, and nutrient-rich cul-de-sacs for an entire civilization of organisms. Think of sand grains not as isolated pebbles, but as the sturdy architectural framework of a colossal, sprawling city. Water, whether from rain, waves, or underground sources, acts as the lifeblood of this city, filling these pores, delivering oxygen and carrying vital nutrients. It's like the circulatory system of a hidden, breathing entity, constantly purifying and replenishing. Who are the residents of this subterranean world? They are often categorized by size, and the first group we encounter are the microfauna. These are the true foundational architects, the invisible workforce, bacteria, archaea, and microscopic fungi. They number in the billions, perhaps trillions, within a single handful of sand. They are the decomposers, the recyclers, tirelessly breaking down organic matter, bits of dead plants, animal remains, even shed skin cells, into their fundamental components. They are the grand alchemists, driving crucial biogeochemical cycles, transforming nitrogen, sulfur, and phosphorus into forms that can be utilized by other life forms. Without them, the intricate web of life on Earth would grind to a halt. They are the quiet hum beneath the surface, the life force that breathes life into the seemingly lifeless. Moving up in scale, we encounter the captivating world of meiofauna. This term refers to tiny invertebrate animals, typically between 0.045 to 1 millimeter in size, small enough to move through the sand grains without actively burrowing. They are the ultimate explorers of the interstitial realm, perfectly adapted to their cramped quarters. Imagine slender, worm-like creatures, often transparent or translucent, wriggling through the watery films around each grain. Among them are the ubiquitous nematodes, or roundworms, which are incredibly diverse and found in almost every sandy environment, from the deepest ocean trenches to the highest desert dunes. They might look simple, but they are vital links in the food chain, grazing on bacteria and algae, and in turn, becoming a food source for larger meiofauna. Then there are the fascinating copepods, miniature crustaceans that dart and glide with incredible agility, their antennae sensing the minute changes in their sandy universe. You might also find gastrotrix, sometimes called hairy backs, for the tiny cilia that cover their bodies, allowing them to glide gracefully. And perhaps, if you're lucky, a tiny 8-legged tardigrade, or water bear, famously resilient and able to survive extreme conditions, simply trundling along, an ancient mariner navigating the sandy seas. These meiofaunal creatures exhibit remarkable adaptations for their unique lifestyle. Many have elongated, flattened, or vermiform, worm-like bodies, allowing them to squeeze through tight spaces. Some possess specialized adhesive glands that help them cling to sand grains, preventing them from being swept away by currents or waves. Others secrete mucus to create temporary tubes or stabilize their immediate surroundings, making their apartments a little more permanent. They are masters of their domain, living lives largely unseen, yet profoundly impactful. As we ascend further in size, we meet the macrofauna, the larger burrowers that reshape the sandy landscape. These are the creatures that you might occasionally glimpse, the quick-digging clams, their siphons reaching up to filter food and oxygen from the water, the elusive lugworms, tirelessly consuming sand, extracting detritus, and leaving behind their characteristic coiled casts on the surface, aerating and mixing the sediment in a process known as bioturbation. The delicate sand dollars, which burrow just beneath the surface, feeding on organic particles. Even tiny crabs, amphipods, small shrimp-like crustaceans, and isopods, like miniature terrestrial woodlice, carve out homes and hunting grounds within the sand. These larger inhabitants aren't just living in the sand, they are actively shaping it. Their burrowing activities constantly churn and mix the sand, bringing deeper layers to the surface and pushing surface materials downwards. This movement is critical for the health of the sandy ecosystem, helping to redistribute nutrients and oxygen, preventing compaction and facilitating the deeper penetration of water. In essence, they are the gardeners and landscapers of this hidden world, ensuring its continued vitality. The sandy realm, therefore, is far from a passive stage. It is an active participant in the grand drama of life. It acts as a colossal natural filter, purifying water as it percolates through the grains, removing pollutants and particulate matter before it reaches aquifers or the open ocean. It serves as a vital nursery ground for many marine species, where eggs and juvenile forms find shelter from predators and the harsh elements. And it is an abundant larder, a rich source of food for countless larger animals, shorebirds probing the wet sand with their long beaks, fish foraging on the seabed, and even larger marine mammals consuming organisms that ultimately depend on the productivity of sand. From the microscopic bacteria that govern nutrient cycles to the burrowing worms that aerate the substrate, every inhabitant plays a crucial role. The sand provides shelter, stability, and a consistent environment, buffering against extreme temperature fluctuations and protecting against erosion. In return, the life within the sand makes it a dynamic, living entity, constantly processing, renewing, and sustaining itself. So, the next time you encounter sand, whether it's a vast desert or a glistening shoreline, remember the bustling cities and the countless lives that thrive just beneath its surface. It's a testament to the planet's boundless creativity, a reminder that even in what seems simplest, there is profound complexity and endless wonder. And as we consider the extraordinary life that finds a home within its granular embrace, we begin to wonder about the sand itself. What more secrets does the very nature of sand hold beyond its capacity to harbor life in its structure, its composition, and its journey through time? Climate forces are now reshaping the very environments where sand forms, travels, and settles. We've seen it as a sculptor, a foundation, a home. But now, as the world gently turns towards a new dawn, we must consider how the very stage upon which sand plays its role is subtly, yet profoundly, changing. We speak, of course, of the grand unfolding narrative of our climate, and how it is beginning to whisper new instructions to the tiny grains beneath our feet. The world's coastlines function like intricate tapestries woven from shifting sand. For millennia, these tapestries have been rewoven daily by the tides, reshaped by the winds, and occasionally tugged by the hands of great storms. They are ever-changing, yet possess a remarkable resilience, a natural balance, where sand lost in one place is often gained in another, a continuous, slow-motion dance. But now a new rhythm is entering this dance, one that threatens to pull at the very threads of these sandy borders. At the heart of this shift is the patient, persistent rise of the sea. As our planet warms, driven by the increasing presence of certain gases in our atmosphere, a phenomenon often referred to as the greenhouse effect, the great ice sheets and glaciers that crown our poles and high mountains begin to melt, releasing their ancient waters. Simultaneously, the oceans themselves absorb a vast amount of this warmth, and as water warms, it gently expands, much like a sleepy child stretching in bed. This combined effect means that the surface of the sea, that vast, shimmering expanse, is slowly, steadily climbing higher. For the sand on our beaches, this means a gradual retreat. A beach operates in a delicate balance. Waves carry sand up the shore, and the backwash pulls it down. With higher sea levels, the waves now reach further inland, encroaching on areas previously untouched. This isn't merely about the water covering more ground, it's about altering the sand budget of a beach. When the water permanently occupies the lower parts of the beach, there's less space for the waves to dissipate their energy. The waves then become more powerful in relation to the available sand, eroding the upper beach and pulling the grains offshore or along the coast. It's like a silent, slow-motion heist, where the ocean, grain by tiny grain, reclaims the land, prompting what scientists call coastal retreat. This phenomenon is particularly pronounced in areas with gently sloping coastlines, where a small rise in sea level can translate to a significant loss of beachfront. Beyond the steady creep of the tides, climate change is also stirring the very breath of our planet, leading to more frequent and intense extreme weather events. Hurricanes, typhoons, and winter storms unleash immense power on sandy shores. These are nature's most formidable architects and destroyers, and their visits are becoming more frequent and ferocious. When a powerful storm surge, a towering wall of water driven by fierce winds, crashes onto a sandy shore, it can redistribute immense quantities of sand in mere hours. Dunes, those silent sandy guardians that stand sentinel behind many beaches, acting as natural buffers against the sea, can be dramatically eroded or even entirely flattened. Their carefully constructed ecosystems, home to specialized plants and animals, are suddenly laid bare or swept away. The sand is not gone in a literal sense. It's often moved offshore into sandbars or pushed further inland. But its strategic position, its protective barrier, is compromised, leaving the land behind it vulnerable to future incursions from the restless ocean. This change extends far beyond beaches and coastlines. The story of sand and climate change also unfolds in the vast, dry heartlands of our continents. Changes in global weather patterns, influenced by warming temperatures, are altering the delicate balance of rainfall. Some regions, already arid or semi-arid, are experiencing prolonged droughts and less predictable precipitation. This means that once fertile soils, no longer held together by sufficient moisture and vegetation, can become susceptible to the wind's embrace. The top layers, the precious topsoil, can dry out and be whisked away, slowly transforming into new expanses of sandy desert, a process known as desertification. Here, climate change is like an unseen sculptor, gently, persistently turning green into gold, expanding the dominion of the sand in an entirely different, yet equally significant manner. Rivers, too, play a critical role in the grand sand narrative. They are the arteries of the land, carrying sediments, including the grains of sand, from the mountains and interior down to the coasts, replenishing beaches and estuaries. But climate change is altering their flow. In some regions, increased glacial melt initially might lead to more water and sediment, but this is often a temporary surge, followed by diminished flows as glaciers shrink. In other areas, altered rainfall patterns mean rivers might experience more intense floods, which can scour riverbeds and carry huge loads of sand rapidly downstream, often bypassing the natural deposition zones. Conversely, prolonged droughts can drastically reduce river flow, turning mighty rivers into trickles. When the river's flow slows or ceases, its capacity to transport sand to the coast diminishes, starving beaches of their vital supply. It's a delicate hydrological ballet, and climate change is causing the dancers to miss their cues, sometimes moving too fast, sometimes too slow, disrupting the natural delivery system for sand. These shifts have profound implications, not only for the sand itself, but for all life that depends on it, from the microscopic creatures in the sand to the humans who build homes and livelihoods along its shores. Coastal communities face increasing risks of flooding and erosion. Ecosystems, like vital mangrove forests and coral reefs that act as natural coastal defenses and sediment producers, are also under immense pressure from rising temperatures and ocean acidification. Coral reefs, in particular, are significant sources of biogenic sand made from biological materials. As oceans warm and absorb more carbon dioxide, becoming more acidic, these delicate ecosystems struggle to survive, impacting the future availability of this unique type of sand. In the face of these changes, humanity often responds by trying to stabilize the sand. We build seawalls and groins, hoping to hold the coastline in place. We undertake beach nourishment projects, where sand is dredged from offshore and pumped back onto eroding beaches, akin to giving a tired shore a fresh blanket. These efforts are often necessary to protect homes and infrastructure, but they are also a testament to the immense power of nature and the constant negotiation between human will and the planet's evolving dynamics. The demand for sand, already a global crisis due to construction needs, is only exacerbated as we seek more sand to build protective barriers against the very forces that are reshaping its natural distribution. So, the sand, that silent, enduring traveler, faces a future unlike anything it has known in recent geological history. Its journey is becoming more complex, its resting places less certain. It reminds us that everything on our beautiful planet is interconnected, a grand, intricate system where a subtle change in one part ripples through all the others. As we contemplate the future of sand, we are really contemplating the future of our shared Earth and our place within its ever-unfolding story. And perhaps, as we understand these vast, slow-motion changes, we can find new ways to live gently with the planet, allowing its natural rhythms to guide us. But that's a thought for another quiet moment. For now, let us turn our attention from these grand planetary shifts to a different kind of sandy marvel, one that holds secrets of time, hidden beneath layers of history and wonder. And so our journey continues, following the whispers of the sand as it leaves the beach and begins a transformation far grander than any glass bottle or window pane. Imagine, if you will, that each tiny grain of sand, primarily made of silicon dioxide, holds within it the raw potential for the modern world. It's like a slumbering giant waiting for the right touch to awaken its incredible powers. To unlock this power, we must first purify it. Through careful, intense processes, we separate the silicon, Si, from its oxygen companions. This isn't a simple sifting, it's a profound chemical divorce, often involving high temperatures and careful refining. What emerges is silicon of extraordinary purity, sometimes called electronic-grade silicon, a crystalline substance so meticulously clean it's almost otherworldly. This purity is absolutely critical, for even a few stray atoms of the wrong element can disrupt the delicate dance of electrons that make silicon so special. Once purified, silicon reveals its secret identity. It is a calm semiconductor. Think of a semiconductor as a wise gatekeeper in the world of electricity. Unlike a metal, which is an open highway for electrons, or an insulator, which is a solid wall, silicon can be coaxed to either allow current to flow or to block it. It's not an on or off switch by default, but rather a potential on or off switch, waiting for instructions. Its position in the periodic table, right in group 14, gives it exactly 4 outer electrons, allowing it to form stable bonds, but also making it exquisitely sensitive to subtle nudges. Now, how do we give it instructions? This is where the magic of doping comes in. Imagine our silicon gatekeeper, quiet and neutral. We introduce tiny, precise amounts of other elements, impurities, into its crystalline structure. If we add a touch of phosphorus, which has 5 outer electrons, it creates an N-type semiconductor, providing extra negatively charged electrons ready to move. If we add boron with only 3 outer electrons, it leaves holes, places where electrons are missing, creating a P-type semiconductor, where these positive holes can effectively move. It's like adding a dash of a secret ingredient to a recipe, subtly changing its fundamental flavor and function. When we bring an N-type and a P-type semiconductor together, something truly remarkable happens. We create the heart of modern electronics, the transistor. Picture a transistor as a minuscule, incredibly fast faucet for electrons. By applying a tiny electrical signal to one part of this faucet, the gate, we can control a much larger flow of electrons through another part, the channel. This isn't just turning a flow on or off, it can also amplify it, like a gentle whisper being turned into a clear voice. These microscopic switches, invented in the mid-20th century, revolutionized everything. They replaced bulky, fragile vacuum tubes, ushering in an era of miniaturization and incredible computational power. Today, billions, yes, billions, of these transistors are etched onto a single, razor-thin slice of silicon called a wafer, creating an integrated circuit, IC, or what we commonly call a microchip. Imagine a sprawling, futuristic city, complete with intricate pathways, bustling intersections, and silent data highways, all constructed on a patch of land no bigger than your thumbnail. Each building in this city is a transistor, each street a connection, carrying information at unimaginable speeds. Creating these microscopic cities is a feat of engineering and art. It relies on a process called photolithography. Think of it as painting with light. Layers of light-sensitive material are applied to the silicon wafer, and then extremely precise patterns of circuit designs are projected onto them using ultraviolet light. These patterns are so small, so intricate, that they push the very boundaries of what light can resolve. It's like trying to draw an entire universe on the head of a pin, with light as your brush and a chemical bath as your developer, washing away the unexposed areas to reveal the intricate wiring underneath. This process is repeated dozens of times, layer upon layer, until the multi-story metropolis of the microchip is complete. But the story of silicon doesn't end with its role as a semiconductor in microchips. Its versatility extends far beyond, transforming into a diverse family of advanced materials, each with unique superpowers. Sometimes, silicon partners with other elements to form entirely new compounds with astonishing properties. Consider silicon carbide, SiC. Here, silicon bonds with carbon, creating a material that is incredibly hard, extremely heat-resistant, and has a wider band gap than pure silicon. What does a wider band gap mean? It means it can handle much higher voltages, temperatures, and frequencies than traditional silicon, all while losing less energy. Imagine a superhero who can withstand extreme conditions and work tirelessly without overheating. Silicon carbide is precisely that in power electronics. It's revolutionizing electric vehicles, EVs, by making their inverters more efficient, allowing faster charging and extending battery range. It's crucial in solar panel inverters, high-power industrial motors, and even in next-generation 5G base stations where efficiency and resilience are paramount. Then there's silicon nitride, Si3N4, a ceramic marvel. This material is renowned for its exceptional strength, even at high temperatures, its resistance to wear and corrosion, and its excellent thermal shock resistance. It's like the silent, unyielding guardian of critical systems. You'll find silicon nitride in high-performance engine components, in cutting tools that slice through metal, in robust bearings that minimize friction, and even in medical implants, where its biocompatibility and durability are invaluable. It's a testament to how combining silicon with nitrogen can create something so incredibly tough and reliable. Beyond these compounds, silicon itself is being sculpted at unimaginably small scales. We delve into the realm of nanotechnology, where silicon takes on new forms and functions. Picture MEMS, micro-electromechanical systems. Tiny machines, sensors, and actuators, all built directly onto silicon chips using similar fabrication techniques as microchips. These are microscopic dancers, miniature robots doing big jobs. Accelerometers in your smartphone that know which way you're tilting, gyroscopes that stabilize drones, pressure sensors in medical devices, even tiny mirrors that steer light beams in projectors. These are all MEMS devices, bringing a sense of touch and movement to the digital world, all originating from our friend, sand. And what about light? Silicon isn't just about electrons. It's increasingly about photons. Silicon photonics is an exciting field where light, rather than electricity, carries information within and between chips. Imagine tiny highways of light, transmitting data at incredible speeds with minimal energy loss. By integrating optical components like waveguides, modulators, and detectors directly onto silicon chips, we can create incredibly fast data centers, advanced sensors, and next-generation communication devices, allowing information to travel at the speed of light within the silicon itself. And even more subtly, scientists are exploring silicon nanowires and silicon quantum dots. Nanowires are incredibly thin strands of silicon, sometimes only a few atoms wide, exhibiting unique electronic and optical properties. Quantum dots, on the other hand, are silicon crystals so small, typically just a few nanometers in size, that their electronic properties are governed by quantum mechanics. These tiny dots can emit light of different colors depending on their size, opening doors for ultra-efficient displays, advanced solar cells, and even quantum computing. It's like sculpting with individual atoms, coaxing silicon to reveal entirely new facets of its personality, unlocking colors and energies from the invisible. So, from humble grains of sand, through meticulous purification and ingenious engineering, we have fashioned the very bedrock of our digital age. We've created gatekeepers for electricity, tiny switches that amplify whispers into roars, entire cities of computation, and advanced materials that empower everything from electric cars to medical sensors. The journey of sand, far from being mundane, is a testament to the incredible ingenuity that has transformed a common geological material into the fabric of our interconnected world, constantly evolving, constantly surprising. As we drift deeper into this understanding, let's consider how these technologies born from sand might further shape our future, perhaps even in the very air we breathe or the energy that powers our homes. But that, my dear listener, is a thought for another gentle moment, as our journey with sand continues to unfold in unexpected ways. And now, as the world outside softens its edges and the quiet descends like a gentle blanket, we find ourselves at the end of our own quiet journey with the sand. Remember how we began, picturing those ancient, towering giants, the mountains, standing against the vast canvas of time. They seemed so unyielding, so eternal, didn't they? But even the mightiest peaks hold secrets of gentle transformation within their hearts. From their solid embrace, we imagined how tiny fragments, freed by the persistent whisper of the wind, the soft caress of the rain, and the patient flow of water, began their own humble adventures. No harsh breaking, just a gradual, loving release, little by little, over countless seasons. Each particle, a miniature explorer carrying a sliver of that grand mountain story, now embarked on a path all its own. We traced their path, these countless grains, as they tumbled and danced in the cool embrace of rushing rivers. A gentle current, a steady push, carrying them ever onward, polishing their surfaces, rounding their edges, making them smoother, softer, ready for what lay ahead. They weren't alone in this journey. Millions of their kin traveled alongside them, a silent, glittering procession, all moving towards the same grand blue horizon. And then the ocean. Vast, murmuring, an endless cradle for these tiny wanderers. Here, the rhythm of the waves became their lullaby, lifting them, carrying them, then gently setting them down, over and over, a constant, comforting motion, like a slow, deep breath. Or perhaps we saw them carried by the unseen breath of the wind, across sweeping deserts, shaping soft, silent dunes that ripple like frozen waves under the moon. A dance of movement, a symphony of quiet migration, each grain contributing its own small, unique note to the grand composition of a landscape. Each journey, whether by water or by wind, eventually finds its moment of rest. A quiet settling. On a sun-warmed beach, beneath the cool, clear waters, or nestled deep within the curving embrace of a dune, our sand grains come to a halt. Not an end, but a peaceful pause. A moment to simply be, to feel the gentle weight of others beside them, to become part of something vast and beautiful. a shore, a desert, a riverbed, a place of belonging for a while. Isn't it remarkable? From the unshakable heart of a mountain, through the patient sculpting of wind and water, to a quiet resting place on a beach or in a desert. A journey that spans unimaginable stretches of time and distance, yet unfolds with such unwavering patience, such gentle persistence. No rush, no urgency, just the steady, beautiful flow of nature's design. It's a testament to the quiet power of small things, isn't it? How something so tiny, so seemingly insignificant, can carry such an ancient story and collectively create wonders so grand and serene. This gentle cycle of creation, movement, and settling is a quiet metaphor for so much of life, and indeed for our very night. After a day of your own adventures, your own movements and interactions, now it's your turn to find your quiet resting place, to settle down just like the sand, finding your softest spot, letting the world outside soften around you. Your journey today has come to its peaceful close. And as you drift into that soft, warm space between waking and sleeping, know that the story of the sand and all the quiet wonders of our world continues. Perhaps in your dreams tonight, you'll feel the gentle current of a river carrying you softly along. Or perhaps you'll imagine yourself a tiny grain resting peacefully on a vast, moonlit beach, feeling the gentle, rhythmic breath of the ocean all around you. The world, in all its quiet, patient beauty, will keep its gentle watch. So close your eyes now. Let your breathing slow, deep, and even. The sand has found its peace, and so too can you. Rest deeply, dream sweetly, and know that the quiet journey continues, even in the softest whispers of your slumber. Good night.